And let me tell you how wealthy her family was. Colonel Hamilton established the town that they lived in. It was called Hamilton Town. It's now called Browntown. And he owned, at a minimum, 1,120 slaves, according to records.
Ooh.
Okay. So they were a family of wealthy Irish slave traders. But now let's go back to that photo again. Who is this with Kamala Harris that is wrongly assumed to be her grandmother? Again,
something in the buttermilk is not clean.
Her great-grandfather was Calvin Candy from Django, basically. Okay.
Candyland.
Right. Right.
Candace Owens, she actually laid it out about Kamala Harris's ethnicity.
Already been discussed. You can see in the corner that we have highlighted on her mother, her mother's name is an Indian name, Shailamala Gopalin, and under color or race of mother, her mother has put Caucasian.
So that's number one. The mom puts Caucasian as her ethnicity. So that tell you right there, but who cares? But
extremely controversial, but we don't need to focus on the mother, because the mother, everyone accepts the mother is not Black at all, right? So if she's some part Caucasian, majority Indian, everyone accepts that the mother is not the claim to her Black heritage. It is the father. On the bottom there, you can see that it says that her father's name is Donald Jasper Harris, and that the color or the race of the father is listed as Jamaican. Okay. So you can be Jamaican.
And we know that in Jamaica, just like in Trinidad, for example, they have Black Trinis and they have Indian Trinis. So, I mean, just because you're Jamaican, just because you're Trini, they even have Chinese Jamaicans. They have Chinese Trinis. So it doesn't matter. That doesn't necessarily mean you're Black. But let me go on here.
Can grow up in Jamaica and not be Black.
Oh,
obviously, it's like Elon Musk, like he was born and raised in Africa. It would be absurd for Elon Musk to say that he was Black, because he is not Black. He is a white African. So I wanted to go further into Donald Jasper Harris, allegedly born in Jamaica in 1938. He has indicated that someone in his family is Black. So who are his parents? Okay, so this is Kamala's dad, Donald Harris. We're looking now into Kamala's grandparents.
That's her dad. That's her dad. So this is when it gets bizarre.
The grandparents' names are Beryl Christie Finnegan Harris and Oscar Joseph Brown Harris. So let's start with Beryl. Let's start with her grandmother. This is an alleged photo of Beryl Christie Harris, okay? It is the only one that exists in the public domain. And I want you guys to know that it was presented by Kamala herself. I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, like where did this photo come from? Actually, Kamala is the one that entered this into the public domain in her book, which is entitled The Truths We Hold, which was published in 2019.
So Kamala put out that this is her grandmother. Now, here's where we go. Here we go.
So looking at this woman, she looks Black, and she wrote, visiting my paternal grandmother, Beryl, in Jamaica, okay? Now, when I saw this, I assumed it was a fake photo, and I assumed that somebody had put it up other than Kamala, because just doing a very brief search, and then I quadruple checked this across multiple websites, genealogy websites and genealogists, that can't be Kamala's grandmother. Let's pull up a picture of her again. That can't be Kamala's grandmother, because at least according to my research, Grandma Beryl died before Kamala was born.
Uh-oh.
And now I want the internet to fact check this with me. This is wild, okay? Beryl was born in 1921 and she died in 1960. Okay, I've checked grave sites everywhere. This is it's not exactly a very common name and not an exactly very common place, specifically where she was born, St. Anne's Parish in Jamaica. That would mean that Beryl had Kamala's father when she was just 17 years old in 1938, and she died when she was just 39 years old. The Black woman in that photo is not 39 years old.
No.
So this is a major discrepancy, okay? And
unless she's a hard-looking 39, which
that would be a very hard 39.
Just a tiny bit of digging. I went, wait a second. Does anybody realize that Beryl allegedly died when she was 39 years old in 1960? That means that Kamala would have been born 4 years after her grandmother died in 1964. 1964 is when Kamala was born. Her grandmother died in 1960. So who is that woman that is in the photo with Kamala? Okay. Beryl Finnegan, now looking more into her grandmother, was definitively not Black. How do we know this? Because Beryl, that woman that you just saw, her father was Patrick Alhanasus Finnegan, who was an Irish slaver.
Irish. He was Irish. Here we go.
Okay. So that woman that you just saw, at a bare minimum, has to be half white. An Irish slaver is who her father was. Doesn't look like that. Maybe that Irish slaver married a super duper Black woman. I don't know, but I know that that is not a picture of Beryl. And I know that Beryl is at a minimum half white, okay? Because the father was an Irish slaver. Now, what about Kamala's grandfather? The other side of this, Oscar Joseph Brown Harris is his name. That's allegedly who Beryl married, right? Okay. What I've learned about him, this is the photo that they have produced of him. That's supposed to be her grandfather. What I've learned about Oscar was that he was born in 1914. Brown was his mother's maiden name. His mother was a woman named Christiana Brown, who was known as Miss Chrissy.
Miss Chrissy.
Christiana Brown's father was also a white Irish slave trader named Colonel Hamilton Brown. That is the white Irish slave trader named Colonel Brown. He married an indentured servant, an Irish woman named Kate Williams, presumably Catherine Williams. And let me tell you how wealthy her family was. Colonel Hamilton established the town that they lived in. It was called Hamilton Town. It's now called Brown Town. And he owned, at a minimum, 1,120 slaves, according to records.
Ooh.
Okay. So they were a family of wealthy Irish slave traders. But now let's go back to that photo again. Who is this with Kamala Harris that is wrongly assumed to be her grandmother? Again.
So something in the buttermilk is not clean.
So her great-grandfather was Calvin Candy from Django, basically.
Where is my beautiful sister? There she is! Woo! Dr. Schultz, this attractive Southern belle is my widowed sister. Darling, you are a tonic for tired eyes. May I present to you Lowly Candy Fitzwillie. Chester.
Okay.
Candyland.
Right. Right. She's from Candyland. She's a descendant. Yeah, look, I wouldn't put it past them to craft this narrative. Okay, and in the previous campaign, it came out that she was descended from some slaveholders. Okay, now, you know,
yeah, that's fine.
Obviously, that's not, you know, her hair. She's not doing it, but it is really weird that you would come out here with all of this ambiguity and what you have in your background, and then try to run as if you're a sister girl, you know.
Make that your claim to fame.
Right, right. That's her identity. Right, right.
Exactly. You know, so more to come of this, because one thing I do know, first of all, the girl is bad. Candace is bad, y'all. Now. I mean, I hope her husband got a good prenup. I hope he don't mess up, because he is super sleuth when it comes to this stuff. All right.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, can we be done with the identity politics?
I know.
Can you just get out there and talk about your platform? Well, she doesn't have a platform. She keeps talking about how Black people keep their lawns nice. And if I hear about this woman who owned a small business and was a friend of the family one more time, she never even said what the small business, what is it, Avon? What did she do? Okay, give us some more.
I don't know. But like you said, it didn't have to be this way.
Right.
But they always lead with race. They always push this. And generally, this is what happens. You know, something comes up. Same with Sunny Holston. You know, she's always playing the race card on The View. Right. And she was shocked to tears that her people, her ancestors were slave owners.
Right.
So, I mean, this is what it is. We are all, eventually, she's already not a foundational Black American. And I'm talking about Kamala Harris. We know that for a fact.
Right.
So, I mean, this whole idea, they again push reparations, they're pushing everything by race and things like that. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm tired of it. I really am tired. But Candace now is like a dog with a bone. She's on the scent.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for it because that woman is going to find something. So,
I feel sorry for Kamala for another reason. This again shows how far out of her depth she is, because this is indicative of her not taking control of her own campaign and saying, hey guys, look, I'm not leading with that because that's something that's easily disprovable. Let me just stand on my on my policies, and I am a woman. We can run with that if you want to do that, but she's just being ran. Okay, she's being managed. She's not capable of getting in and managing any of this herself.
Oh, of course not. She's a puppet. She's a puppet. They went from the bumbling, senile puppet to now just an idiot puppet. She is the dummy sitting on the lap, and they're just telling her, the ventriloquist dummy, what to say. And this is what they want now. The globalists want this. They found that they got a little bit of it, an itch of it when Biden was in office. They know now that they can control the presidency if they have someone like them who just reads teleprompters and is told where to go, who to go say. If they can do that, then this is how they want each presidency to go forward. And this is why they don't want Donald Trump in the White House.
Because that's what's happening right now. We don't have come on. Do you really think that Biden couldn't even remember Modi's name the other day? And he was standing right there with him. So we don't even have a president right now. So who's running the show,
Right. The puppeteers behind the scenes.